Or you were?
See, back then, I was born right around the time the last Tyrannosaurus Rex died off. So, back then, doctors really didn't know about this stuff. We don't have the technology. They didn't have the technology that we have now and everything else. So, and plus, my form usually doesn't kick in until the time of puberty, that you start realizing that there's an issue anyway. So back then, it was neither here nor there. They were just fixing something that was wrong.
Did you choose to have any additional reconstructive surgeries after you realized that you were intersex, or?
Well, yeah, what wound up happening is I went on the hormone replacement therapy for a number of years, and it worked great. So I really didn't have to do anything, think about any changes. But for some reason, about 4 years ago, it stopped working. And I started becoming crippled. My arms were kind of twisting up again and that. And I'm like, oh crud, I can't live like this. So I really struggled with what to do. I did a lot of praying because, like I said, I have a strong faith in God, and I wanted to do right. And so basically what had happened is, I did a lot of praying, a lot of seeking and everything. And finally I felt comfortable that that was the thing to do. And I had to have surgery and to eliminate, so that my body couldn't produce testosterone anymore. And after I had the surgery, I was completely well again. I haven't had any issues with muscles or anything like that. I don't even really have to take hormones. I just take a little bit of estrogen just to keep, from getting osteoporosis. We have to have some form of sex hormone in us,
Right.
whether testosterone or estrogen, to help with that. So, but I've been happy, I've been healthy ever since. Freaked out a whole lot of people, lost a lot of people in my life. That was really, really difficult. But, I just really see it's made me who I am today, someone who understands what it's like to have a difference about them, and I can relate to a lot of people on a lot of different levels, as a result of it.
That was actually the next question we were going to ask is, how did your friends and family respond when you learned the news? And do, the friends and family that you have currently that have known you your whole life, do they treat you differently? Do they think, obviously you act differently than you would have at that point, but do you know, what their opinions of the situation are?
My family really struggled. They had a hard time with it. But I think what you really have to look at is the fact that, when you have a kid, your hopes or dreams are set on what you perceive that child's gender to be. Whether male or female, this person's going to be a mom and do this, or, this guy is going to go on to, be this great athlete or, business tycoon or something. And when you change all of that, it changes everyone's perceptions and dreams, and it kind of throws people in a tailspin. And but my family came around, and they're still learning, but they do accept me. So I have them. I have a church that's really cool right now. They accept me with the intersex condition. Some of my friends from before have come around, and they accept me. Actually, I think the biggest change in me is my confidence level. I used to be the most quiet, shy person ever, and now I'm really outgoing and confident. So I think that's the biggest change that they notice.
Okay. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit. In our studies, we have learned that a lot of people conflate intersex or different transgender with sexual orientation. How exactly did that work for you, and how has that affected your relationships over the years?
Well, honestly, I really don't understand the whole thing of sexual orientation. I'm asexual, meaning I've never had an attraction to men or women either. nor am I repulsed by either. But I just don't get it. Now that probably has far more to do with the fact that I have Asperger's syndrome, so I am autistic. So we think that that played in more to that than actually the intersex condition. Back when I was living as a guy, I did date girls. I was married twice, and kind of funny thing is, I asked them, what attracted you to me? And both wives said the fact that you acted nothing like a guy. But that was also the reason why we wound up divorcing, because they realized they were married to a girl. And even before I changed or anything like that. And but nowadays, I just started getting back into dating again, and I was dating guys, and then all of a sudden I just met this woman. And as of Valentine's Day weekend, we're in a relationship. So,
Congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that. But as far as, any kind of sex drive or that, I still feel like an alien. I still don't get that part. But as far as, loving someone, yeah, I know what it is to love someone and, really care about them. So I'm a happy camper right now. I'm just not looking forward to opening up to a lot of my fundamentalist friends who wound up coming back around, because I have a feeling I'm in for a lot more rejection again, unfortunately.
Sadly, I probably wouldn't disagree with you on that.
But if you really think about it, here's an interesting thing. If you take someone who's intersex, their body develops somewhere in between two sexes, that means if I marry a guy, that makes me straight, and that also makes me gay. If I marry a woman, that makes me straight, and that makes me lesbian. And heaven forbid I hook up with another intersex person, because that would make me straight, gay, bi, and lesbian all at the same time. So
you make a very valid point.
So, I really think we need to look at our definition of what it means to be heterosexual and homosexual. We have an idea that's just far too simplistic, because sex and gender are not as black and white defined as, we've grown up thinking they are. It is such a spectrum.
So this question is a little bit difficult to get across, but hopefully I'll get it properly. You said that, when you were presenting as a man, that you always felt like a woman. Do you feel that the gender roles that you perform have changed drastically since you realized that you were a woman, or do you think they haven't really changed at all? Do you think that people expect you to act differently? Like, how does that play out for you?
Well, honestly, the only thing that I noticed that really changed when I switched my outward presentation is a lot of people act like I don't have a brain anymore. I lost the male privilege that I had. That is a real thing, and I did lose it. And it just cracks me up. Even friends who knew me as a guy, I don't think it was consciously, it was more of a subconscious thing, the way that these guys will treat other women. So that's one of the things that kind of infuriate me. I'm still the same person I was. I still have the same brain. I think the thing that blows my mind the most is when I was living like a guy, I was so girly. Everybody thought I was like flaming gay. But as a female, it's like I'm out there in the woods, I'm swinging through vines, I'm going right up to wild animals, I'm doing documentaries and stuff like that. And so I think that's kind of an interesting thing, that I lost a lot of the real girliness about me. I still like, getting dressed up, wearing makeup and that, but most of the time I don't. So I guess that's what it is. I'm just more comfortable in my skin now. This is more of a natural presentation for me, where before everything else seemed it was fake. I was faking who I was, and I think this is really, the representation of the real me.
Were you working in
Oh.
the same?
I actually have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question in terms when you say you used to be kind of girly, because for me that confuses me when people say you're girly or you're kind of boyish, because we can all have different, personalities. What, when you were married, what about you did they say was girly?
Like, what is your definition of girly?
Yeah.
I like the things that were typical female stuff. I was very into interior design.
I can
The
tell
way,
As
your
we can
apartment is
see.
beautiful.
yeah, still, thanks. Yeah, I still love interior design and stuff like that. But I was really into that. I was really into, very touchy-feely, like emotional things, love the chick flicks and everything, which, I mean, guys can love that stuff too, but everything, the way that I presented, I mean, I even presented way more feminine than I am now. If you
I remember
can
that
imagine.
a little.
Yeah,
very little bit.
you knew me at that one point before I
Yeah.
switched over again, yeah.
So were you working in the same job or in the same job field before you switched your
I was
presentation?
working for the same company.
What did you notice different with them?
Well, when I first, went into HR and said, look, if I'm out, I've got this intersex condition, I have to do this to stay well. Surprisingly enough, the HR director was very supportive. He was like, yeah, let's do this thing. And I think he was actually moving a little faster than I was even comfortable with, but it was cool to have the support. Unfortunately, we had a lot of people there who were very old school, and, in their beliefs and, as far as gender and also religiously. And it got to the point where I wasn't allowed to use the bathrooms. I even had some people in management going to HR telling lies about me, trying to get me fired. It was so bad. I mean, people would walk up to me and tell me at work, I'm going to hell and everything, and it was nasty. I just couldn't deal with it anymore, and it got to the point where I was feeling really suicidal. And I was afraid I was going to lose my job, so I switched back to presenting as a male. And I thought I faked it pretty well, but it's like all my clients, they're like, I did that for 2 or 3 years. And they said, you were like a zombie. You presented like you were dead, and I thought I was faking it. And then when the hormone therapy stopped working and I had to have the surgery, then I went back in and I was terrified.